How to use app images on Ubuntu Linux 22.04. Okay, let's get started. App images let Linux developers wrap their applications into a single file that installs on any Linux distro. This simplifies things tremendously, and I'm going to show you how to use one of them and integrate it into your desktop. And specifically, we're going to be working with this program here. I'm going to install this one here, FreeCAD.org. Now, quick little some quick little background on app images, real quick. You know, sometimes the package you want doesn't have a native format for your distro. So, and if you're not willing or able to compile from source, then that's where AppImage and snaps and flatpaks kind of come into play. They're kind of like distro agnostic. Snaps and flatpaks do have some security issues. By the very nature of them being sandboxed, they might prevent your program from accessing a file path and really being fully functional. So you're kind of sacrificing performance for security. Okay? Now I don't believe app images have that same kind of sandbox security nature to them. So they're a good way. They don't actually install the package in the traditional sense. It's installed, but it's not really installed the way you normally would think of something that's installed. Like it's installed and it's in your application folder and you run it, you launch it that way. It's pretty much run from the terminal, although there is a GUI app image launcher that will help you. Will give a GUI interface to your app image file. Okay, so, and it's a little, launching AppImage and Snap and Flatpak apps is a little slower than running a regular application because of all the overhead that's involved for the security and the convenience of doing things. Obviously, the best way is to have a native package format for your distro. .deb for Debian and Ubuntu, and .rpm for Fedora and Red Hat, CentOS, and for Arch, I would say probably, I don't know if there's a specific native file format, but I would just go with the tar file, or just use Pacman, or get it from the Arch user repository, and of course OpenSUSE is RPM as well. So if the program you want doesn't come in that format, that's where AppImage comes in. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is download the app image for the app that we want. And I already showed you the program we're going to do, FreeCAD. Now, these won't be in your distro's repo. Usually you will find them on the website for the application itself. In other words, if you're looking for an app image, you can't download it from your distro repo as you can with snaps and flatpaks and all the native file format package formats and the source code. You can clone that in the terminal as well. Although you can't use apt, but you can use git to clone the source code and then compile it. So yeah, usually you're going to find the app image on the website for the app itself. Okay, so we're going to download and use FreeCAD, which is an open source 3D computer aided design CAD package. Okay, so we're going to go to the CAD page and we're going to browse it real quick. Oh, there's not much to browse. It's pretty much right out in the open, and we're going to click on the 64-bit image button. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's go to, here's my Ubuntu here. This is just I had this page up. This is the AppImage homepage. This is their hub. This is where you get information from them. It's a good place to start for AppImage documentation. Okay, so I have the FreeCAD download page up here. Okay, we're going to do the 64-bit image here. So we'll click on that. And the download has started. We got a few minutes. Okay, the download has finished. And I did it in the browser, so it's going to be putting it into the default location I have set up for downloads, which is the download folder. Okay, so we're going to CD into the download folder, and we're going to locate it, and we're going to check it out with some commands here. Okay, so we can X that out, minimize everything there, go into the terminal, CD into the download folder. Okay, check out what's in here. Okay, where is it at here? FreeCAD. Here it is. .AppImage. This is the part that you don't probably have a lot of familiarity with. Usually you see .deb, .rpm, .tar, whatever. AppImage is kind of new to me too. So this is kind of fun for me to learn this as well. So here's the AppImage extension here. FreeCAD and the version and the architecture and the extension. Okay, good. There it is. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at it real quick for some information here. Okay. You can see the ownership here. Paul and Paul, user, group, and you see the permissions. Now we're going to have to add some executable permissions here so we can run it. Okay, so let's do that. And we're going to make note of the color here, kind of a blackish color. Let's see if it changes color after we make it executable. Okay, so we're going to use the chmod command. We don't have to do anything with the ownership, that's fine. Paul and Paul ownership, or whatever your username is, that's okay. I don't think you have to do any ownership change. Just so you can leave the ownership alone. So we're not going to use chown. We're just going to use chmod and change some of the file permission, RWX permissions on that file. So we're going to use the chmod command here, and we're just going to give so the RWs were already there or whatnot, but we want to the important one is the executable, and we're just going to put it for all the user, group, and other, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to add the executable for those three sets. So plus X on that file. Okay, that's good. Clear that up. Take another look. It did change. Okay, good. Yeah, it went from black to green, which usually means it's executable. Okay, good. Clear that up and take one more look at the meta information here, and you can see we added X to the three sets for the user, for the group, and for the other. These X's weren't here before. The RWs were all there. We just added the three X's here. Okay, so we're pretty much covered there. Okay, so we downloaded the file, made it executable. Now we're going to execute it, and we can execute it by calling it by its name. This is pretty much about it. You just have to call it by its name here, or the / in the folder that it lives in. So probably if you were outside of the download folder, it wouldn't launch. So it has to be executed with the / from the folder that it lives in, which is right here. Okay? So we're going to enter on that. See what we did? / in the download folder here. / on that FreeCAD .AppImage file. So we'll enter on that. And I'm going to have to fix something. Hold on. Now, up to that point where I / launched it, on Fedora and Manjaro, which would be, Red Hat and Arch-based distros, That's all you would have had to do. On Ubuntu 22.04, I had to install a library called libfuse2. Now, I think libfuse is already installed on 22.04, but it's a version that's more recent than that used by the majority of AppImages. So by doing this, we install the library that we need, the version of the library we need, without affecting the other already installed, the newer version that's already installed of Fuse, that's already on Ubuntu. So this command right here will get you past that fault that we saw earlier, where it needed the Fuse library. So this command right here will get you past that step. So once that's installed, then we can go back and run that. We can launch the AppImage again like this, now that we have the Fuse 2 library installed. Now we'll enter on that, and it should launch. Okay, here it comes. Okay, hold on. There it is. Okay, great. FreeCAD 2.0. And you could take a look here. FreeCAD 2.0. Okay, good. Alright. Minimize that. Now, all that's great, but what if you want to have your cake and eat it too? In other words, you want to have it installed, but you don't want to have to go to the terminal and do all and go through this process, which is not a big deal, but you have to know, you have to open a terminal, CD into the folder, you have to keep track of all these things in your head somehow, where whatever program you want lives and whatnot, then you have to, /, and of course, in this kind of a configuration, the terminal has to always stay up and running, because if you kill the terminal, you'll kill the process. So that's a little bit, it adds some confusion. You got things open you don't necessarily want to always have open. It kind of makes things a little bit more complex. Now, if you close this, then I think it kills the process too. Yeah, okay, so they're kind of tied together. You kill the terminal, you kill the running process, you kill the process in the GUI, and it stops I guess it's like, I don't know if it's a server, but it stops the process in the terminal as well. So they're really connected that way. Okay, so, what if there was a way you could use AppImages that didn't require you to launch them from the terminal? It would be a much more convenient way to be able to launch AppImage applications just like a regular native application. So, there's an obvious contradiction here. The whole point of AppImage is that they don't install themselves in a traditional sense, so they don't integrate in your desktop, but you can use the AppImage launcher, which is kind of something in the middle. Like I said, it gives you a kind of a GUI to the AppImage without actually installing it in the traditional sense of an application being installed. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the AppImage launcher. Okay, since we're using Ubuntu, we're going to go to the AppImage launcher download page, and we're going to find the tar file, and we're going to find the dev file that we need. So here it is. This is their GitHub. This is their GitHub page for their releases. It's not source code, but it's precompiled binaries for the different package formats. So we're going to skip the continuous build because that's like maybe unstable. Newer features, but it could be also unstable. I always try to, bypass the daily builds, nightly builds, whatever. So we're going to go to the more to the releases, the more stable release builds here. Okay, and it's the most current version, 2.20. You see as you scroll down, you get into the older versions. So we're going to try to find what we need here. So we're on Ubuntu, right? Okay, so let's try to find that. And we're looking for a .deb file for 64-bit architecture. Okay, so this is source, so we don't want source. Anything with RPM we're going to pass, and then we see the .debs. Okay, now we start looking. And what do we have here? How do these differ from each other? Probably go with this first one here, 2.20 Travis, Bionic, AMD 64, AMD. They all seem to be kind of the same. I'm not sure what the difference is between these, but we'll go with this one right here. So we'll click on that, and it'll save that deb file in probably in our download folder. So that's good. So that's there. Now we're going to go into the into the download folder. Okay, I did a little bit more not necessarily research, but a little bit more thinking about what's going on here. Yeah, okay, so you see that the RPMs, we don't need those, or the AppImage, so we're on Ubuntu, so we want the .debs. Of course, yeah, these are like the full-fledged, and you see there's light here, which probably means it's for different architecture, or it's not as fully featured. So we want to focus on the .debs, and they're all pretty much the same as far as, there's no light version here, but you're looking at the CPU architecture. This is 32-bit, Intel, x86, ARM. I'm not sure the FHF, ARM, but essentially these are for ARM CPUs. And the one that I downloaded, the one that we want, was the AMD 64-bit, not 32, and not ARM, but the Intel x86 64-bit deb file here. Okay, so that was good. That's the version that I want. You probably want the same thing too, more than likely. Okay, so we're already in the download folder. So let's look for that AppImage launcher file that .deb file. Okay, it's right there. Okay, good. See it there? .deb AppImage launcher. Okay. Now, actually, we're going to have to go into the GUI file manager here and double click it and launch it from here. I know it's pretty unique to be able to double click something in Linux and install it. That's the way this works though. Okay, here it is here. Okay, so we're going to double click this and we're going to start the installation. I think it actually calls, hold on. Okay, had a little trouble trying to install it with a double click. By double clicking that deb file in the download folder, it was supposed to launch the software right here, the software program, and then you could install it from here. That didn't work for me. And so I'm just going to try to use GDebi and see if that will install it instead. Yes, we want to install the package using CMake. CMake is installed. Okay, that's good. That was better than going through the other way where you had to double click it and it was supposed to open that software, the GNOME Software Center, and install it that way. I don't know why it didn't work. Something to try to fix later. I've used it before, and I installed another AppImage at one time before. I forgot what program it was, and I did the same thing. I remember double-clicked that, the deb file or the RPM file. Double-clicked it, and it launched whatever software store, and you were able to install it from there. Otherwise, if that didn't work, that kind of GUI way, then on Ubuntu Debian, you could use dpackage, apt. It's still just a deb file, or you could use GDebi, and in Fedora you could just use the DNF or the RPM command. Okay, so that's been installed. Now let's try to find it and launch it. Okay, so we're done there. Let's see if it's here. So we're looking for what? AppImage launcher. Okay, here it is here. You can, right click and add it to your dock, or just run it from here for now. So click on that, open it. Okay, good. Okay, on to the next step on how to actually launch that FreeCAD AppImage program with the API with the AppImage launcher. Okay, there is a tiny bit of configuration to do. We need to tell the AppImage launcher which directory we want it to monitor. Okay, so we have it launched here. So we're going to go ahead and configure it. Okay, so we're here. Now we're going to click on the folder icon and browse to the directory that you usually store your app images in. Now I don't have a whole bunch, so at this point I've only got the one, so we're just going to point it to where that FreeCAD program lives right now. Otherwise, on your end, you can always, create a separate folder that holds your app images outside of the download folder. Just make an app image folder and put all your app images there after you're done downloading and working with it in the download folder. Then move it over to whatever folder you want. But for me, for right now, I've got it living here, so I'm just going to put download as the directory for it to monitor. I guess it would make sense just to have one folder for everything, because if you have them scattered in different folders, then you'd probably have to change this configuration all the time and have it point to whatever directory you want it to point to. So if you have them all in one central folder, that's probably the most efficient way of doing it. Okay, so I'm going to choose the download folder here. Okay. Like I said, you can choose whatever directory you want. Whatever main directory, subdirectory. You can even put a subdirectory in the download folder as well. So download / app image programs or whatever. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like this. This will be the path for it to monitor here for that FreeCAD. Okay. Now, one more thing. And one more thing, yeah, okay. So this folder is if you have it all centralized in one location. Now if you have them spread out all over the place, then you can come to this tab here and you can put the other paths into here. So if you just have your app image files in one location, put the path in here, and if you have app image programs scattered all throughout your file system, then add the path here. But for this purpose, I'm just gonna use the download for this demonstration here. Okay. So one more thing. Okay, so once like I said, it was just a little tiny bit of configuration, mainly for the launcher to know where to find your app images. Go here for multiple paths, and just one path will be here. Okay, so once we've made our selections there, we'll OK on that. Now, the super key, and we're going to launch, and we're going to hit the super key, and we're going to try to find that program. Okay, here it is. So the super key on a Windows keyboard obviously is the super key on the Windows keyboard is the Windows key itself, and that brings up this launcher. You type in the first few letters of the program that you want to launch. There it is, and then we're just going to go ahead and click it. And that should launch. Give it a second to launch here. Okay, here it comes. So it's launching the application. And there it is. All right. That looks good. Okay, so we hit the super key, the window key, and we typed in the first couple letters there. Okay, so that was pretty good. So we'll minimize that, and one more thing on the launcher. When you launch the launcher here, the app finder, and you key it in, it's coming up as a cog because that app image just has no official logo. So don't worry, it's not corrupted. It'll work. It just doesn't come with an actual official logo. Now you can click on that, and you can do some operations here. You can remove it this way. So this is a good way of removing it from the app image launcher here. Okay, so we'll bug out of there, and here it is. Here's the program here, FreeCAD. Okay, that was about it. I'll give you a summary in a moment here. And of course, you could click on it and pin it here. What was the place to pin it? Maybe you could pin it. What are the other things show here? Well, we had it here. You're able to pin it from here. Add the favorites here. Okay, so you can add it. This essentially becomes your application, like if it was in the application folder here. So you just have to go this route here. So you can pin it to your dock here, and remove it. Do some other things here. Get some information, details, whatever. Okay. So we'll bug out of there. We'll go back to FreeCAD one more time. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. The launcher makes using app images as convenient as native applications to a point. But for me, it's like second, third choice. If you can't do it natively or some other way, it doesn't work. The snaps and Flatpaks I'm a little sour on. This is okay here. I'm not sure if it's got that sandbox nature to it, but it could be a pretty good alternative. Outside of snaps and Flatpaks, and let's say your repos don't have it, or it's got an older version, or there's no native version, or you don't want to do it from source. And this is something worth looking into. I think it's a good option. App images are on the rise, and my test machines, applications launched from app images loaded slightly faster than flats and a lot faster than snaps. With app images, there's no underlying framework that needs to be installed, no dependencies. So apart from the space required for the app itself, the hard drive footprint of app images is pretty much zero. The optional app image launcher application adds some touches of finesse, but you can happily use app images without it. Of course, you have to go to the terminal and know where your app images are living and do the / operation and launch it that way. I would definitely suggest that you use the app image launcher. Really makes a lot of sense to use it if you're going to use app images, especially if you have a lot of them. If you just have one and you know where it lives and whatever, again, like I showed you before, when you launch it from the terminal has to stay open while the process is running. They're tied together, and that just adds an extra window tab that has to remain open, like a server. I don't know if it's a server. I'm not saying it's a server, but it has to be left open for that process to keep running, and that just adds clutter and complexity. So I would definitely not run it that way. I would definitely use the launcher here. Yeah, more and more applications are offering app images. So if you find yourself trying to install something that doesn't seem to be in your distro's repos, check out the application's website that you're trying to, the program you're trying to install, and see if they have an app image version there. I don't know if I've seen too many. Obviously, debs and .rpms and tar files and source code dominate the landscape. But, if you want to install something, go to the vendor website and look for a .appimage extension for the program you want to install. Okay, so a quick little recap. We downloaded this was for that. We went here and we downloaded the FreeCAD app image, and then we made it executable, and then we launched it in the terminal, and then we installed the AppImage launcher here, and we configured that so that we can launch it from the app launcher. I guess you just call it the super key, the app launcher here. After we configured it. Okay, so that was how to install open FreeCAD, or what is it here? FreeCAD on Ubuntu 2204 Linux using the AppImage file format. Okay, thank you for watching, and I look forward to your feedback and comments. Thank you.